Hey, it's DBJ with the DMG doing the Dungeon Master's Guide deep cuts. All right, finding something in here, pulling it out, ripping it apart, disseminating it, and deciphering it just to add to your games. Things that noted to me that were really cool and really sparked some really great story ideas. Now this one is Chapter 9, Dungeon Master's Workshop. And it starts out with variations that, like I said in other videos, the Dungeon Master's Guide is nothing but filled with optional rules. This one is definitely optional rules. But I love this part because this is the optional rules of proficiencies. And they give quite a few examples, starting on page 263 and goes on to 264. So really, real short. There's hopefully my camera can pick up on this. It's 263, gives some options there, and it just goes one more page, goes on to a little bit over half of 264. All right, and the first option, optional one, which is great because if you love rolling dice, you'll love this one. And instead of those of you that are familiar with 5th edition, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, those of you familiar with 5th edition know that there's proficiency, and you get a proficiency bonus starting at +2 at the first couple levels, and then it moves up, proficiency bonus +3, +4, whatever. The idea here is, and if you could see this table here, instead of giving a proficiency bonus +2, +3, +4, depending on your level, instead you get a proficiency die. And this optional variant would be that between 1st and 4th level, you get a proficiency of D4, and it moves up. So D4, D6, D8, D10, D12. If you love rolling dice, and you use that option, that is awesome. And what ends up happening is, when you, and this is just my dissertation as a game master, what I perceive, is that when you have a flat bonus, proficiency +3, +4, +5, it becomes a flat curve. Meaning that if you get a +5 bonus, you roll D20 +5, your proficiency bonus, you don't get a variant range of success and failure. So if you get a +5 proficiency bonus, you'll never roll a 1 or a 2. You'll never get that. But you never get the higher levels. You don't get those, 28s and rolling a 29 or something of that nature. Not that it's possible here unless you're 13th level and above. But what happens with a proficiency die is, man, can you imagine rolling, advantage or rolling your inspiration, and you roll 2d20 plus a d4 at first level? That means you can get a +1 through a +4 bonus, not including any other bonuses that you get for your character. And that means it gives a much farther range. Here's some artwork here, by the way. Anyway, you get a much farther range, a number range, and also a greater chance of, not failure, but you still have players who can fall into that failure range. And this way, especially if you want to play a more gritty game, this way you have a greater chance not only in the failure range but the high success range, and you're sitting there waiting for the dice to end their roll. And so at 1st to 4th level you're rolling a D4. At 5th through 8th level you're rolling a D6. Okay, and that means you can roll a 1 on a D20 plus only a proficiency level of +1. You rolled a 2. Fuck, that sucks. But what happens if you roll a 20 plus a D6? Man, that's great. That is awesome. Plus any bonuses. Maybe you got magic items. You got bonuses from your character. And this also allows characters not becoming static with each other. At first level, when everyone gets the +2 proficiency bonus, you end up with characters that seem kind of vanilla, because they all get the same bonus. 2 characters with a bonus of +2 to acrobatics or deception or, stealth, they seem kind of the same, Hey, my cleric gets a +2 proficiency bonus with his mace. Your fighter gets a +2 proficiency bonus with their sword. My thief gets a +2 proficiency bonus with their dagger. And it kind of seems a little bit vanilla. But hey, grab a proficiency die, that's sweet. Now, not done yet, we have skill variants. So right here below, let's see if I can get my finger in the right position. Index finger moving along here. Skill proficiencies by ability check, by class. And so how this would work is that instead of getting a specific proficiency with a skill, say acrobatics or stealth, from your backgrounds, what this would be tied to that particular class. So if you can focus in here, see if the camera can pick up on this a little bit. You have classes. So as an example, you play a barbarian, your proficiency adds to any strength, dex, or wisdom ability check. That's it. Hey, if you're a druid, you get an intelligence, or you get proficiency with anything that you do with your intelligence or wisdom. On bard, you get to pick any one stat, and you get proficiency with that one stat. If you're a wizard, you get to pick intelligence or wisdom, etc. If you're a paladin, you get to pick strength, and wisdom, or charisma. And so those specific character classes, you get to pick 2. With bard, you get to pick just 1, but you get to pick any of your six stats. And so what ends up happening is, instead of being tied down to one skill, you get a proficiency with anything related to 2 of your attributes. And for those who don't want to, keep adding and counting skills and things like that, this makes it more generalized. And so you can have a character, let's say you pick barbarian. So you add your proficiency check to strength and dexterity. That's what you pick for your character. So any strength check, running, jumping, swimming, bending bars, throwing the guard off of a tower, breaking out of a net that was thrown over top of you in a gladiator arena, dodging out of the way of the portcullis before it falls down. You're not checking your character for all kinds of skills and whether I have the skill or not. You're just saying, screw it, I get my proficiency bonus with that. Let's keep the game going. And this way you don't have to check lots of things. The bad part about this is that you do have overlap. So for example, someone who plays a druid can pick intelligence or wisdom, but if someone plays a wizard, they get intelligence or wisdom. And so therefore they would overlap each other a little bit, since they wouldn't have specific skills. But you, as a game master, that means what ends up happening is, let's say there's ancient writing, and you would have to adjudicate that. Hell, well, you know what? You're the wizard, the other guy's playing the druid. The wizard should get this proficiency bonus to read the ancient texts. You're out in the woods, you're looking for clues as to where the injured creature ran off, because you guys attacked the injured creature. You know what, the wizard, you're not going to have the proficiency bonus, but I'll give you proficiency bonus to the druid. Again, this leaves a lot more in the hands of the game master, but you could allow characters to have proficiency bonuses. As an example, again, I know I'm kind of being crunchy here, but if you play a barbarian and you have proficiency bonus with anything with strength and dex, maybe in the woods, and only in the woods, as a game master, you go, you know what, I'm giving you proficiency on a dex check to sneak. That makes sense. You're a barbarian. You use stealth in the woods, sure. Maybe using stealth in the noble's castle might not be appropriate, but in the woods, sure. Last 2 things, background proficiency. Let me see if you can focus in on here. Right here. It's called background proficiency. And what that means is that instead of having tying specific skills, as long as it's in your background, the game master says you have a skill with that. So an example would be you pick noble as a background, and you're in a situation where you have to convince the guard to let you into the castle. And on your character sheet, you don't have persuasion. You didn't pick it as, as one of your skills. But you are a noble, and people recognize you as a noble, even from an enemy nation. You come in front of the guard says, what, stop right there. Aren't you Prince, Ganifar from the enemy nation? Yes, I am Prince Ganifar. Well, no one told me you were coming here. You start role-playing it out. You say, listen, I'm coming here as an emissary. My arrival was not announced. Yes, I am with a ragtag group of people. They are part of my entourage. Please let us in. We need to speak to the Baron right now. No, I don't want fanfare. We need to go in. It's an emergency. You're trying to convince him. You're using deceit. Maybe you're using persuasion. You don't know. Game Master goes, I don't know what it is. Doesn't matter. It's part of your background. You get your proficiency bonus according to this variant rule. It's part of your background. Part of your background. You get a proficiency bonus with your background. All right, let's pick the same example for, let's say, what's another good background? Let's say Sage. Sage, same situation. Sage comes in, meets the guard. They're with a ragtag group of people. Hey, I need to convince the guard to get past them. Sage goes to the guard. Sage isn't used to, trying to persuade guards to go through, but the Sage just says, I'm on an important mission. I am an important dignitary. I have books. I need to go, use my studies. Please let me through. I'm not an enemy. I don't look like an assassin. I don't look like a fighter. All I am is just a lowly sage. I'm just here to go to the library, read a couple of books. I'll only be here a few days. I'm going to copy some scrolls. Take a look at me. All I have in my backpack are books and ancient texts and holy manuscripts. Listen, guard, can you just let me in? I know it's wartime. I'm only here to write down a couple of things. Game Master goes, well, wait a minute. Do I think they should get a proficiency bonus on their background because they are a sage? Would someone believe that? Could you alter that and go, well, it does make sense. He is a sage. He is a learned man. Would a guard believe that a learned man would only want to be here to read some books? Boom, alternate rule. You get proficiency because of your background. Am I stretching it there? Hell yeah. But using proficiency for your background. Essentially, no, there aren't, using this optional rule, you're not listing a bunch of skills. What you're doing is you're using the background that you've chosen for your 5th edition character, and you get proficiency with that. Lastly, going on a little long here, right down here, I'm going to try to get my finger to see if you focus in on this with the camera, is personality trait proficiency. Personality trait proficiency. And let's see if my finger can go all the way over here and try to focus in on the very last line. It's probably a little hard to read. That very last line says, at your discretion, you can also tie in a character's ideals, bonds, and flaws to this system. This is an optional rule, and this is personality trait proficiency. Well, what the hell does that mean? Well, that's using proficiency, your proficiency bonus, your first level character, you get +2 proficiency bonus, but you're playing the game and you're using your personality. Okay? You're using those personalities, and of course, you can use your flaws, your bonds, your ideals, and you're playing a holy warrior. Okay? You're playing a holy warrior. You get captured by the enemy. The enemy is trying to interrogate you. And you say, I will not give up, for I am a, quote-unquote, lawful good holy warrior, whether you're playing a cleric or paladin or something, and I will not be broken. If I break and they torture me and I give away the secrets of where my friends are at, they will go and try to attack them and assassinate them. Guess what? Optional rule. Game Master says, guess what? You get +2 proficiency bonus. Your proficiency, you're using that part, that ideal, that personality trait of your character, you get +2 proficiency. First level character. You can use that. That is a great idea, to use your personality of your character as a proficiency. Let's say you're playing an evil, deceptive character. You know, you're a backstabber. You're a liar all the time. And you're going around, you go to the city guard, and the city guard is like, looks you up and down and goes, why should I let you in the city? You're nothing but a vagabond. You're a cutthroat. I'm not going to let you in. You and your group, motley group crew. You know, I can see you right now. Look at you dressed in dark clothes and your daggers. I bet you've got poisons and stolen goods in your bag. And then the player character comes along and goes to the city guard and goes, yeah, I'm a cutthroat. I'm a vagabond. But why would I be hanging out with them? They're not my friends. Why you're going to stop me? You're going to stop me, but you're going to prevent them from coming into the city? I don't even know that guy. That guy's a holy warrior. The other one's, what is he, a wizard or something like that? I'm not part of them. And the player character playing part of their background, playing part of their personality trait, gets a proficiency bonus to convince the guard that the other player characters should be allowed to go into the city, because why would my deceptive, cutthroat, backstabby character be hanging out with a paladin? And the guard goes, you got a proficiency bonus? You roll and goes, yeah, that makes sense. Why would I think that he's associated with that, with the holy cleric and the paladin and the druid and the wizard? Guard lets them through, keeps the deceptive character outside, allowing the deceptive character to maybe sneak around and over the city wall. Great idea. Variant rule, but hey, you're trying to create things to your story. I know this is a little bit dry, but again, deep cuts into DMG, again using variant rules, and it's only a little short part. In the Dungeon Master's Workshop section, and it's just alternate rules for proficiency. So again, number 1, using proficiency dice. Instead of +1, +2, +3, +4, you use dice. Different levels. From 1st to 4th level, you use a D4 for your proficiency die. 5th through 8th is a D6, so on and so forth, all the way up to using from 17th to 20th level, using a D12 for your skill bonuses. Next are ability checks by class. So instead of writing down skills, you get a bonus on using 2 of those 3 abilities, maybe strength and dex, or wisdom and charisma. You get a bonus on that. And last 2 is background. Bam! You get proficiency on your backgrounds. Don't even write down skills. Hey, my character was a slave. My character was a noble. My character was a sage or an acolyte. You get bonuses on that without having to write the skills down. And lastly, variation right here, personality proficiency. When I use my character's personality or ideals or bonds or even flaws, I get a proficiency bonus. Hey, my character is a coward. I'm running from combat. My character is a coward. I'm going to hide. Game Master says, guess what? You don't have stealth? I'm going to give you a proficiency bonus on hiding because your character is a coward and you are using your flaw as cowardice to hide and run. That makes perfect sense on a character. Even if you're like a wizard or a druid or something. You go, well, my character's kind of cowardly. He runs from combat. Boom. Running away from the orcs. +2 proficiency bonus. Dodge the hell out of there. So anyway, again, deep cuts for the DMG. I hope this adds to the game. Again, I love this Dungeon Master's Guide. It's not too thick, but it's just packed full of information. Great way to add to the story and use a variant rule. Maybe you want to use it once to add to your game, or you get together with your players and say, hey, we're going to start a new session. This is session 0. We're going to create characters. Listen, guys, don't add proficiency bonuses at +2 on first level characters. We're just going to use a D4. Great way to do it. So as always, with using this book, you can be very creative, not really destroy your games. See you later.